This is how I created this Backrooms animation in Blender. So basically, this is what the scene looks like, and I currently have the ceiling disabled. The reason I did this is so I could easily map out the movements of the character. So, everything here was modeled by me except for the ceiling, which was, I forgot his name, but I will put a link in the description. So basically, if we turn on material preview, this is what it looks like. So this is the basic ceiling that it came with from the guy, and I just modeled these lights myself so I could add some lighting sources, and I just spread those around, and they're all just parented to each other, and it creates like this light source. Alright, so this is, if you want to know, this is what the camera movements look like in the material preview. And how I actually replicated these camera movements is I first used a empty right here, and I basically went into numpad 7 and I just went through, and as you can see I just went through the whole scene, and yeah, I animated the movement of where he would actually be walking, and then I went onto the camera, and as you can see all these keyframes down here, that is where I animated how he looks around. And what I did was I basically just once I selected my camera, I did shift tilde. Obviously I can't do it right now, but that, here, I'll put an example. And if I do shift tilde, I basically go in this free cam, but since it's already parented to it, I can just rotate and act like I'm looking around, and I just did that for every single time he would look around. So yeah, that's basically all I did for that. And then you're probably wondering, well, if you just did that, how does it look like it's shaking? Well, I used a free Blender add-on where if you go into preferences and you go into get extensions, search up camera shakeify, and I would definitely recommend it because it is a life changer. Just enable camera shakeify and go into your camera settings, and right here in the camera shakeify you can add different presets for your camera. So most of the time I had investigation turned on, and that is basically the wobble you see the whole time. As you can see, there's like a subtle wobble, but for when he starts walking, as you notice, he stands still sometimes. So when he's standing still, the walk up to store preset is turned off, keyframed, but the second that he starts walking, it turns back on. And I do have only one of the close-up, and that was because I was testing out the camera zoom, which is right here. As you can see, my camera zooms in, and as that zooms in, you can see the close-up also keyframe, and that produces the effect of like a VHS camera zoom. And then I added the sound effects afterwards. So one thing I want to get into is how I actually made the VHS camera. So this is another thing I didn't make. So how I made the camera for the VHS. So let's start off with the camera settings. So for a VHS video, you usually want to use the lens unit in millimeters, and you want to put it to 30 millimeters, and that usually gives you the VHS camera aesthetic. And for the actual VHS effect, that one I actually did not make, and I got it from a YouTube video, which I will also link and credit, because I also kind of forgot the name. I probably should have done that before. But what I got from the YouTube video is a file and then append, and it's a node tree. So basically it looks like that. It's the VHS FX 4.0. Once again, I'll add the credits. So you simply just put, if you wanted to download that for your own videos, go check them out. but all you gotta do to use it is you simply just Shift A, group, and then add the VHS 4.0 and just stick it between, and it makes a really good looking VHS effect. And with that, the whole camera looks and feels like a VHS effect or camera. So now I want to get into probably one of the hardest challenges I ran into making this. Obviously, the whole map isn't fully created, as you can see, and that's because this was just a test animation to see if I could actually get myself to do this and see what it'd look like if I were to do a full-length Backrooms composition. So this only took me 2 days, but since this video was a success, I'm planning on dedicating a few weeks to actually a really good, long, and more realistic Backrooms animation that isn't going to be like this. It's going to be a lot better. So the main challenge I ran into was actually modeling the scene. And all I did basically was I just went online and I found all these textures, and I found the seamless textures, which means they can keep repeating without looking cursed. So as you can see, these are just repeating textures. And I don't know if this is the official way to do it, but what I originally was doing is every single time I'd make a wall, and since these are all different sizes, it would stretch the texture. And I was manually just UV editing each one, and that wasn't working, so I eventually scrapped it and I restarted. And what I did was I added an empty at the bottom of the map, which actually controls all the textures. So it basically just made all the textures into one thing. So now what it does is that I can freely scale this, and as you can see, the textures will never change. It won't like stretch at all. It will only do what this empty is basically telling it to do. So you can find more tutorials on that. I just searched it up on the internet on how to fix that, and obviously there's more ways to do this, but I feel like that was the easiest solution to my problem. So once I did that and I figured out the texture problem, I basically just once again went into 7 and I just started mapping out what I feel like would be the Backrooms. And for the first frame, I actually got inspiration off of the very first Backrooms image, which I'm probably putting it on screen right now. As you can see the resemblance in the frame, which I'm probably panning right now in editing. But yeah, so I wanted to base off like the first few parts of the animation based on the original image, because I feel like that would be a cool idea. And I basically just built off of that. I built the original image room, and then obviously since he looks down this hallway, I had to hide this or else he'll be looking into the void. So that's really all you do, is I just kind of hid stuff that he's not gonna see, which is kind of a big part of animation. You can just hide everything because it won't show in the final animation. So eventually I was making this long hallway, and then I realized that I was looking at more at Backrooms images, and I was like, oh, they have a bunch of pillars and solid objects. It's not like just plain walls. And also I added some variety by adding like not fully height walls, like that one's lower than the rest. So, and along with these doorway entryway rooms, those ones are also pretty common, so I eventually added those. And then since this was just a test animation, I wanted to just make like a little pillar room to test what that would look like. So that's what I did here. I basically just copy and pasted them so they're all symmetrical. And then I wanted to add like this little bump, because right here in some Backrooms animations I remember that there is some areas with these pillar bumps, and I just wanted to add that. Kind of feels liminal, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And then of course we had to add the wooden half wall right here. I really don't know what it is about this, but I just really enjoy this area right here. It just feels really awesome because it's just popping out. And once you enter this area, I was once again thinking, oh, in the back rooms, there's also a bunch of random cracks in the walls. So I added this really narrow gap along with this other narrow gap right here. And then I wanted to add some sense of mystery as a test of zooming in, because, you know, once again, this is a test animation. So I wanted to test what it'd be like to zoom in the VHS. So, as you can see right here, the camera does zoom in, and I made this long hallway on purpose so that it could actually, basically, you know, just test what it would look like. And I, if you're wondering, I used the camera Shakeify close-up keyframe, because the whole thing is shaky because he's in investigation mode, but when he zooms in, it's a lot more steady because I switched to the close-up. But I felt like the close-up was a lot more steady than it was, that it would make it feel more robotic. So I actually, instead of putting investigation at 0, I put it at half. So it still keeps that unsteadiness, which makes it feel more human. But yeah, so going on, I just wanted to add some random stuff because it felt pretty empty there. Added a bunch of pillars and then just another room filled with stuff for like shadows. Just wanted to test that out too. As you can see, looks pretty good just with a single light in the middle. And yeah, so that is basically how I created this. Oh yeah, and this carpet is literally just a plane with the same thing, the scaling thing. And along with this carpet, which is also in the original image that I was talking about, this carpet is the same texture as this carpet, but all I did was I just went into Photoshop, or Photopea, because I'm broke, and I just adjusted the hue of the carpet to match what the original image looks like, because the carpet is a little different and it's like bulging out like that. So yeah, that's really all there was to it. And don't forget, okay, if you guys are going to do make your own Backrooms animations and you want something that is close to this, here are my render settings. I put it to cycles, and I put the GPU because obviously my GPU is stronger than the CPU for rendering. And here's my settings. I didn't think that I would need many samples because I'm running this on a laptop. I'm trying to save up for a PC. So I put my samples low because it's going to look pixely in VHS anyways and you wouldn't really see it. And with denoise on and light paths, you want to turn on fast GI approximation and put the AO factor to 1. And you want to go, especially this, go to clamping and put the indirect light to 3. And you want to put simplify, and since you don't have to do this if you have a high-end device, but with me I'm using a laptop, so I just put the max subdivision to 5. Even though I didn't subdivide anything, I just feel like 5 is a sweet spot for, I just have that as my preset, because I basically created a preset for every time I open up Blender, it will have these settings for like VHS stuff, because it still looks realistic and the VHS kind of hides those perfections. And right here is camera culling. Turn that on. Turn both distance culling and camera culling on, and put camera culling to 1.0. And okay, this is a little optional, but I found that it looks, to me, it looks better, and I feel like it looks more like a VHS found footage if you put motion blur on. Because I've tested this before with another VHS animation where I had one with motion blur off and one with motion blur on, and the motion blur looked a lot better, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna keep using that from now on, but completely optional. And okay, this is a big one. Performance. It's, even though you set it to GPU up there, you also want to set this to GPU. And it helps speed up the time a lot. So I basically just have a bunch of like performance stuff for getting fast renders, even though this whole animation took half a day and overnight to actually finish. It's probably because I'm running it on a laptop, but once again, I'm just trying to pump out as fast as I can while the VHS hides the imperfections of the render. So obviously you can do better than this, but if you want my settings, that's what it is. And right here is the output settings. Oh yeah, this is what I forgot to mention. For the camera, you definitely want 640 by 480. That is the most common VHS, like ratio, resolution. Yeah, it's like both ratio and resolution. So I also keep my frame rate at 24 because I feel like 30 just feels a little too smooth, and like anything below 24 feels a little too choppy. So I feel like 24 FPS is the sweet spot. And this is kind of all up to personal preference. I put it as a video, but sometimes if it's a really long render, you will definitely probably want it on image. I was just doing it for the sake of time because I was trying to get this. It was just a test animation, so I didn't really care that much about if it failed. So I just put it on video to save time. But definitely, if you're going to make a long animation, which is what I'm going to be doing for the next few weeks, definitely put it on image in case there's any crashes during the rendering. And in encoding, if you do video, put it on MPEG-4. That is the best one, according to me. Once again, that is what I feel like looks better and renders better. I also had that on for like CGI, because MPEG-4 can also do transparent videos, which allows you to basically put your animations in real life. So that's basically it. I'm wondering if there's anything else to cover. Yeah, I think that's it. But anyways, if you guys liked this test animation, please subscribe, and so you can stay tuned for the next upcoming one that will look almost like 10 times better, 10 times longer. I'm planning on adding a bunch of entities, a bunch of chase scenes, a bunch of new levels and everything. So it's gonna be really cool. So if you guys want to watch that, make sure notifications on, and please subscribe because it can help my journey. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot to mention before we go. The editing software I use is DaVinci Resolve. I've just been learning how to use this program, so this is the one I'm best at. But all I did was just put my render, and I just went on the internet and found some audio of walking on carpet and put that whenever he's walking. And then I got the VHS zoom, got the zoom sound, and then of course for the stretched, the whole Backrooms light buzzing sound effect, because it wouldn't be a Backrooms video without that iconic buzzing. And yeah, that's basically how I made it. Once again, please subscribe and stay tuned for that new video. Anyways.